Why did you do it?
I don't know.
Don't give me that. We have you at the scene, so why did you do it?
I told you I don't know.
I want to know right now. Why did you bust that ghost?
Because busting makes me feel good! Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. Before I get into my review real quick, just some news for my channel itself. Looking at the release schedule, I've noticed I got a hell of a lot of movie reviews coming up. You know, I just did my Independence Day and Tarzan reviews, of course Ghostbusters you're watching right now. Next week is Star Trek, and then there is Suicide Squad. So if you like movie reviews, they are all coming right your way. But I do have, I'm going to try and mix in some other things to kind of break that up so it's not just straight movie reviews. And I have a really, I think, fun editorial coming up in in a bit, so that should be up, you know, at some point. So that's on the horizon. Just know, like, it's just that time of year where there's going to be a lot of movie reviews. Anyways, Ghostbusters! So, of course, before I get into it, I got to give my my feelings about previous versions of it. So, Ghostbusters came out the year I was born. So, I grew up with Ghostbusters my entire life. There was never a moment where there wasn't Ghostbusters in my life. I watched it constantly as a kid, both the movies and the cartoon, had all the toys. I absolutely loved everything Ghostbusters. I was a huge Ghostbusters fan, and it was fantastic. Growing up, I started noticing 2's really not that good. There's things like Extreme Ghostbusters and the early video games up until the Xbox One that were kind of garbage. So this franchise has been treated a little rough. But I loved it so much that I really wanted to see them explore this universe a lot more. I've been waiting 20 years for a Ghostbusters 3. Of course, we're not going to get that. But, usually I'm on board with the whole, stop remaking things. But I'm so into this universe. I want to see it explored so much that I want more. Even if it means a remake, I want more Ghostbusters. I want it in my life. I need to consume it. So, of course, we get the Ghostbusters remake, and along with it, of course, it's the all-female, so there's a whole bunch of bullshit tied along with this, the anti-remaker people, the anti-women people, the anti-CG people, the weird, angry video game nerd just mad that it's called Ghostbusters, and now when you Google search it, you're gonna have to specify what year. That's a really odd reason to not want to see this movie. Huh. But anyways, the movie's out, so you can just judge for yourself if you like it or not, and all the bullshit is over. God damn it, you just can't win. Alright, so let's get into the plot of Ghostbusters. So the plot kind of starts with Kristen Wiig's character, Erin Gilbert, working on getting tenure at her university. But having this book that she wrote early in her life with Melissa McCarthy character, Abby Yates, they wrote a book about, ghosts and how they're real and things like that. And that started popping back up, and her university's like, "Oh my, we can't have this at a proper university." She gets kicked out of her university and reconnects with Melissa McCarthy, who they've kind of had a splitting of ways with, and they reconnect, and they start discovering ghosts together and decide they're going to prove to the world that ghosts are real. There you go. That's basically, without getting into too many spoilers, that's your plot of Ghostbusters 2016. Pretty different. Like, I'm going to try and keep my connections to the original Ghostbusters a little light, but obviously it's going to happen. And you can see it's a kind of a different idea from the previous Ghostbusters. But I'm going to get into that later. So let's just get into the characters themselves. So before I get into characters themselves, being that it's 3 white people and a black person, everyone thought it was a 1-to-1 ratio, that it was just the female, version of this character. And, Kristen Wiig's supposed to be Venkman, and Melissa McCarthy is Ray, Leslie Jones is Winston, and Kate McKinnon is Egon, and it was just supposed to be this 1-to-1 ratio. It's not at all. They are really different characters, and I think a little bit more fleshed out than the original Ghostbusters. So it's worth diving into each character, which I'm going to get into, but yeah, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. I'll get into it again more. I know I'm building up to stuff later, but anyways, it's a true reimagining. These aren't just these characters done again. These are new characters. So, Kristen Wiig is playing Erin Gilbert. So her overall story arc is that she was teased a lot as a kid for believing ghosts, and she wants to prove to the world that ghosts are real. And that's her drive, is to prove that she's not crazy, that ghosts are a real thing. And I have to say, Kristen Wiig is an amazing straight man. Like, she's played that in a lot of movies, and she does it so well. Like, she doesn't do the goofy things. Her funny part is her reactions to the goofy things. So basically, being your direct straight man. And she is an amazing straight man. She is so funny. I love her, and she does a great job in this movie. So yeah, Kristen Wiig was great. We got Melissa McCarthy playing Abby Yates. She's the closest to being a ratio to her counterpoint of being Ray. Her drive is basically she's just into studying ghosts. She wants to study ghosts. She's been doing it her whole life. She knows a lot about ghosts and how they work. And she just wants to study ghosts. Now, Melissa McCarthy as a person, I've kind of gotten tired with. A lot of her roles are basically, I'm overweight, but I'm overconfident. But overweight people usually aren't overconfident. That's the joke. Yeah, that's basically been her in her last few movies, and it wears. But that is not her in this movie. She is just a scientist. She plays it very smart. She has some really funny moments. It's not about her weight. Like, she just plays it really well, and I very much enjoyed her character. She's really this in-between being too goofy and being the straight man. She's really in that center of it, and she just plays it really well, and she's fantastic. It's well done. So we got Leslie Jones playing Patty Tolan. So her character is a subway worker who found a ghost, brought it to the Ghostbusters' attention, and kind of just joined the team because she wants to be a part of it, basically. So, I mean, obviously there's some ties to Winston where they're the one that come on later, but I think she's very different. She's very confident. What I have to say about her is I haven't seen SNL, so I haven't really seen her in anything else. She was entertaining, but most her really funny jokes are the ones that are in the trailer. So that's basically her. Like, you get a really good sense of what she's doing in the trailer, and that's basically it. She's not bad, and she's integral to the plot. But yeah, her funniest moments are in the trailer, and they're still funny on screen, but there's not a whole lot to her outside those few moments. But not bad, just, yeah, that's that. So my favorite part, Kate McKinnon as Holtzman. She's the person that makes the tech and has been working with Melissa McCarthy for a long time. And she's basically this mad scientist. She's not Egon at all. Egon's a straight-laced, nerdy guy. No, she's all over the place. She's insane and is so freaking funny. It's amazing. I just absolutely loved her in this role. She made the movie. She is so goddamn funny. She makes the movie. She was amazing. And I have to say this, and I know it's like anti-feminist to bring this up, but I'm going to. I think she looked beautiful in this movie as well. She looks great. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. But yeah, she is so freaking funny in this role. I absolutely loved her. So the last character I got to bring up, of course, they put their best foot forward and got the top tier Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth. And yeah, he proves in this movie why he's the top tier Hemsworth. Outside Kate McKinnon, Chris Hemsworth also makes this movie. He is so funny. So he plays Kevin the receptionist, and he's an idiot, basically. He's your big, muscly, dumb model type. Kind of like your Zoolander type. But he just does it so well. It's funny to see him do it. He is hilarious. He has some great moments. He is fantastic and is just this amazing driving force, as well as he works with these scientists who they really play off as incredibly smart, and he's just this stark opposite, and it plays off so well. It's so funny. Yeah, he does a fantastic job. There's a reason why he's the top tier Hemsworth. Oh yeah. So, what works well about Ghostbusters? Well, I said before, this is a reimagining, and there's been this joke where I think the producers came out and said, it's a reimagining. Everyone's like, oh, it's not a remake, it's a reimagining. But actually, it is a reimagining. Like, the best way I can put it is, as a school project, if someone was to say, take the term Ghostbusters and make a movie with it, and, Ivan Reitman took this one, and Paul Feig takes this one. This is their version of the idea of Ghostbusters. The first movie was really built on kind of the joke of they're ghosts, but they're basically treating them as pests. And, it's a business. They got their cheesy commercials, and it's all about, overcharging people. And, it's a business. The joke is about being a business. A lot of the jokes hinge on that. Winston's whole character is basically this punch clock hourly guy, but he's busting ghosts, but he's like just your average blue-collar Joe. And that's basically the main joke of the first movie. This one, it's much more about the science of ghosts and, setting up a lab to study ghosts. It's not so much about the business, and they never really were in the business of, someone hiring them to bust ghosts. They were just trying to study ghosts. And so, yeah, it's a very different take on it, and I very much enjoyed both versions, to be honest, and it was done very well, and I really like that idea of changing how this ghost busting kind of works, and it is done really well. So it's, of course, a comedy, and I have to say about 90% of the jokes land, and there's so many different types of jokes, adult jokes, kids jokes, there's some great meta jokes, where they put a video on YouTube and they're reading the comments like, bitches can't bust no ghosts. And it's like, I don't know if they reshot that after, the trailer came out, or if they just knew people would be shitty about this, but that was fantastic. There's jokes about all the stupid ghost shows that are on TV now and how they're making them look bad. And yeah, all the jokes land. They're so funny. Even just right out the gate, there's like 3 jokes just thrown right at you, which I think comes so fast that people weren't ready, at least in my theater. I mean, there's a joke about Irish-proof gates, like right off the bat, and I was like the only person laughing at that. Maybe I'm a terrible person, but I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, the jokes land so much. It's a very funny movie. I was laughing as much as I would say, I was laughing during Deadpool. It's probably as funny as Deadpool, to be honest. It was really, really funny. And of course, almost the entire cast outside of Rick Moranis make cameos, and there's tons of nods to the original movie. So, you got Sigourney Weaver playing a scientist. Janine is a receptionist at a hotel this time. Dan Aykroyd is a cabbie. Ernie Hudson plays Patty's uncle. I think is that every. Of course, Slimer makes his appearance. There's one more I'm gonna get to in a bit. I got a bit to say about that. But yeah, all the cameos I think land were done really well and were fun, and I really enjoyed them. It's really good, and I know Rick Moranis is retired, so he doesn't want to do this, which is great. That's on him. He retired. It's fine. And there's some great nods to the first movie. Some not so little subtle nods, but great nods to the other movie that you can really see and point out, and it's fantastic. I think they, like I said, it's a different idea of it, but they acknowledged the first one exists and gave some love and respect to the first movie. As well as there's even a Harold Ramis cameo. I'm not going to say where it is. You got to find it, but there is a Harold Ramis cameo. But yeah, it gives love to the first movie, and I think does a lot of respect for that. And at the end, it is dedicated to Harold Ramis, which is just fantastic. And I think it was handled really well that way. So, thumbs up there for sure. So the part I really liked about this is to go along with it is the gear in this movie is just fantastic. I love the original proton packs. They were done really well and they're very iconic. But yeah, basically you had your proton packs, your trap, and your containment unit. And in the second movie you get the slime shooters. That was all the tech they really had. And it seemed very limiting. Like, that's just it. This movie, every time they go out and bust ghosts, they evolve their gear. They find something new. They figure out something that didn't work and fix it. And you see like this evolution of their gear. Outside of there's not just proton packs and a trap. There's all sorts of weapons they get. And it's really fun to see that. Like just this lots more gear. A lot more fun with it. I think it ties more. That's where it ties more to the cartoon. Or even the video game that was out had a lot more gear. So it's just kind of fun to see a lot more gear. And it didn't seem like something they dove into a lot in the original movie. As well as it looks, their proton packs in this one look a lot more homemade. The originals, although, had wires and things, were very molded, very much Hollywood built, proton packs. And like I said, they're iconic and I like them. But these ones really seem like they're built from guys that just had to find stuff. And it's done really well, and I like the look of them. I like the red ring, the red glowy ring, and it's just done really well. So yeah, I really love the gear in this. So of course, I can't avoid all the bullshit, and I gotta talk about how this movie kind of works with feminism. I don't really consider myself a feminist per se. I guess if I were to put a label on it, I'd say I'm an equalist. I think we should all just be, on the same plane. We're all people, whatever. But yeah, we got to bring up some of that. And to compare this to Bridesmaids, which is a good comparison because that's a Paul Feig and Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy movie. So you can make some good parallels. I love Bridesmaids, but it definitely got tied down in that, girl movie tropes, the love interest. There's a point where they're depressed and sad. There's, the what they call the third act breakup, where, whatever you're building up to has got to break up in the third part. That's all in Bridesmaids. It's fun. It's a really funny movie, but it definitely falls into those, girl movie tropes if, you have to divide on gender lines. Ghostbusters doesn't do that at all, and I love it for it. It passes the Bushido test constantly, which if you don't know, that's if you can have two women in a movie speaking for 5 minutes, but it can't be about a man. And yeah, they don't talk about men at all. There's no forced love interest. There's some really funny moments of, Kristen Wiig flirting with Chris Hemsworth, but he's too dumb. But it's really not a love interest. It's just some goofy moments. But yeah, no forced love interest. They're just handled as scientists, not women scientists, just scientists. And I think that is fantastic. They just treat them as people. And it's just really good to see that. Like, it's fantastic. And to go off on another rant without, blowing up too much, I'm sorry, angry dudes of the world, but they're strong women and they're finally getting their say in Hollywood, and there's going to be strong women roles that are main roles now, and you're just going to have to deal with that. I'm sorry, that's the world you're in now. women are equal parts lead roles and, love interests. And men are going to have to be, lead roles and love interests in other movies as well. But yeah, with Star Wars, this Ghostbusters, Wonder Woman comes out next year. Like, women are taking movies. They are your action movies. They are your comedies. And it's fantastic they're getting that part of the world, and I applaud them for it. I'm fully on board. But yeah, angry dudes of the world, you got to get over yourself. Women are, 50% of the population. So, there you are. There's my little mini rant. But not every movie is perfect. So where does Ghostbusters 2016 fail? So I gotta say, it doesn't fail in a lot of aspects. It's a very well put together movie, but there are a few things kind of broken. And one major one, which I'm gonna bring up right now. So here comes a rant. Get ready. So Bill Murray, of course, makes a cameo. And that pisses me right the fuck off. Fuck you, Bill Murray. If you don't know really why I'm so angry, he spent many years bashing on Ghostbusters, refusing to do a third one, because he's so much of an actor now. But no, I can't do I can do, Garfield Tale of Two Kitties, but I'm too much of an actor to do Ghostbusters. There's a point before Harold Ramis's death where everybody was absolutely on board for doing a third Ghostbusters. Even Rick Moranis was going to come out of retirement to do a Ghostbusters. But no, Mr. Actor Bill Murray can't do a Ghostbusters movie. So he's basically that friend where you're out with a group of people and you all finally decide on where to eat, and he's the one guy like, oh, I don't like that place. You know what? You're in the minority. You're going and you're going to find something to eat. You know what, Bill Murray? Just go do your goddamn movie and make $1 million. God damn it. It's not like you were doing it for free. Everyone wanted you to do Ghostbusters, but no, I'm an actor. And you can't just have this fucking... You just can't have this attitude for 20 years, 30 years, and now just be like, oh, I'll do a cameo now. No, what? Fuck you. You're out of this franchise. You didn't want to be in it, so don't be in it. So fuck you. We're going to go over here and have a fun Ghostbusters movie. You can go over there with Wes Anderson and jerk each other off and do whatever gay cowboys eating pudding movie you're going to do. But fuck you, Bill Murray. I'm tired of your shit. You know what? You're a fucking actor, right? Yeah. But yeah, you think you can just do a cameo, Bill Murray, and we're just going to forget you've been a piece of shit at Ghostbusters for the last 30 years? I remember. I will not let you forget either. Seriously, dude. You can't just do that. I'm sorry, maybe you feel bad that Harold Ramis has died now, and you didn't let him do a movie that he really, really wanted to do because you're a piece of shit. But you know what? You made your bed. Fucking lie in it. Sorry. I'm not going to forgive you for that. You don't get to be in Ghostbusters now. You're done. Ooh, man, where did that come from? Alright, so yeah, I had a little bit of problem with Bill Murray's cameo. There was another cameo, which I didn't have this much problem about, but it's very odd. There was an Ozzy Osbourne cameo, and I thought we were done making fun of Ozzy. So it seemed like a very dated joke to have this weird Ozzy cameo. And I've heard a couple people really liked it, but I was just like, I thought we were done making fun of Ozzy. It's very weird. I know I talked earlier about how I love the gear, but I do have to say, some of the gear was brought in almost to just fill a specific role. Like, we have this thing, and it's for this one scene, and this thing's just for this one scene. So it was a little bit like they just made stuff to fill gaps that they needed to. And that was a little weak. It didn't destroy the movie at all for me. But yeah, you can kind of see in hindsight, like, oh, that was just made for this ghost, and that was just to do this. So there's a little bit of that. So, alright guys, it's time for spoilers! So yeah, click the Ghostbusters logo if you want to skip to my wrap-up, but we're going to do some spoilers now. Not a lot of big, shifting change, big spoilers. But I do want to talk about the villain, because there was an actual villain in this. And it's played by Neil Cassidy, who looks like a stocky Vince Vaughn. And basically, he was picked on his whole life. He's this genius, but like a weird guy, and everyone treat him like the weird guy. So he's basically found a way to bring ghosts into our world and create the apocalypse. And that kind of explains why we haven't really seen ghosts up until this point, is they're around, but they're not strong enough, and he found a way to, really make them like these full apparitions that can do things and that are dangerous. And I really enjoyed that. His plot is a little bit weak sauce, that he was picked on, and now he's, gonna destroy the world. But he kind of worked as a villain, especially in the last act. He really worked well as a villain. So he was all right. I mean, not a lot to say about him, but I didn't want to bring that up without saying it's a bit of a spoiler, because it is a little subversive at first. You don't know what's going on with these ghosts, and eventually you're introduced to this villain. So there you go. Another thing, I guess I'll keep it in spoilers, is the Stay Puft that everyone thought was in the trailers is not Stay Puft. That's actually a giant version of the Ghostbusters logo, which is kind of funny and done really well. But there is a Stay Puft cameo. He's a balloon in this weird ghost parade that's going by. So there is some Stay Puft. But yeah. And finally, the last thing I want to bring up in spoilers is the government is known about ghosts, but they're covering it up. And so it's kind of like this whole government conspiracy thing going along with it, which kind of works out well. Like in the end, after this whole big, ending where there's ghosts everywhere that you've seen in the trailer, they try and cover that up, and they're like really failing at it, and it's kind of funny to see. But yeah, it's kind of also builds into this world that there are ghosts, but government's covering it up. So yeah. So like I said, nothing huge in spoilers, nothing like this big reveals or whatever, but yeah, it's just a couple things I want to throw out there. So let's wrap this thing up. Ghostbusters was incredibly fun. I enjoyed it so much. I had a really good time seeing it. It's a really, really fun movie. And like I said, I was laughing as much as when I saw Deadpool. Like, this is a really funny and fun movie. Very enjoyable. It's got some really good action. Like I said, really good jokes. It's a really fun movie. It's the best way to put it. Now, a new thing for my show is I've kind of been subverting doing like a hard set rating. But you know what? I think I'm going to finally just do a rating. So here's my new rating system. So your top tier is go see it now. Stop this review, go see it now. So that's your best rating is get the hell out of here, go see this movie right now. Under that, you got see it in theaters. So it's worth the price of seeing it in the theaters, because obviously theaters are very expensive now. But yeah, it's worth the admission to go see the movie in theaters. So that's that rating. Then next rating is you can rent it. So if you see it at Redbox or it's on demand for like $3 to $5, it's worth that price of $1 Redbox rental, or seeing it on cable for whatever $3 to $5, whatever they're charging these days. Yeah, it's worth a rental. Under that is see it on TV or Netflix. Like basically, if it's something you're already paying for, you already have HBO. It's worth checking out on HBO when it comes out, and you don't have to pay for it per se. Or on cable or Netflix. Like see it, but wait, don't pay money for it. Just it's worth seeing at some point, but don't pay a lot of money for it. And finally, your bottom of the barrel rating is don't bother seeing this movie. Forget it happened. It's terrible. Don't bother with this. So, my first official rating. So, Ghostbusters, I'm going to give it a rating of see it in theaters. It is definitely worth the price of admission to see it in theaters, to see this spectacle. Really fun movie. So, see it in theaters. So, I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. And until next time, hold on to your hold slots.